Hi, it's Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at this wonderful case here. This is the Thermaltake View 380 XL edition. So we've already seen the View 380 previous videos, which you're more than welcome to check out, and this is the XL version, which does excel in many ways. Sorry, blatant pun, had to do it. So this is the larger version essentially, and it's got a few other design changes as well to make building your system a little bit easier and also potentially a little bit more funky and bright. So as you can probably see already, this is in the Bumblebee yellow. There are 4 colors available of this in the launch period. That is the snow version, which is the white. You've got the black version, the yellow obviously, and also there is a sand color as well. So that's a pretty interesting group of colors there. Strangely, no hydrangea blue, which seems a little bit unusual, being that is one of kind of Thermaltake's 2025 colours. So unusual that we haven't seen that. Maybe we will in future. As with all things Thermaltake, you never quite know what's going to come out, so do look out for that one. Now, pricing for this at the moment, this actually hasn't released at the time of recording here in the UK, so I'm going by prices which I've kind of managed to scour around on the internet and also taking the American prices into consideration. So this is retailing in America for $135. I've seen this actually listed in the UK as a kind of placeholder price of about £125 thereabouts, but I've seen other prices on Amazon of like £200 odd. So sometimes placeholder prices aren't quite accurate. So what I have done is put some links in the video description so you can check out prices local to your area. Those will be affiliated links, so we do generate a small commission if you make a purchase. All goes towards helping out the channel, doesn't cost you anything else, but just wanted to make that clear in full disclosure. So what are the key differences between the 380 and the 380 XL? Well, the design has changed slightly. It's still a fantastic dual chamber case, supports up to 80X motherboards. Dimensions wise, it is a little bit larger and actually has seemed to address some of the complaints or slight niggles I had with the original 380, which is the height which was available for the top for the radiator and also at the bottom for the fans. It all seemed a little bit more cramped than I would personally like. I said actually in the video review, it'd be great if they just stretched this up a little bit. And basically that is exactly what they've done here. They've also turned the fans on the side round, so they're a little bit more of an angle now. So rather than being just on the side blowing straight inward, they're now on an angle, so it's blowing kind of across. And also we've got some better radiator support on here, which is always nice to see. Another thing which I'm actually really fond of is the fact that they've moved the USB and I/O ports down to this bottom section here. So you've got a power button, you've got your reset button, you've also got a USB 3.0 Type A, you've got 2 of those. You've also got a headphone combo jack, and there's also a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port on there. So that's really nice to see those actually in really convenient positions. You don't have to kind of stretch up to the top of the case. This, I think, is a fantastic way of doing it. And also some of the other design languages kind of come through as well. So we've got this nice perforation, which is all around the side section, and also on the back, the top, and yeah, basically wherever they can do. Airflow is definitely going to be better in this, and also because it's just physically a larger case, it's going to have more air volume, so things are going to be kept cooler. Now before we take it apart and take a look and see what it's all about, I just actually want to highlight the colour. I'm not too sure how it's translating on the camera. Cameras always do strange things with colours, but the yellow on this is really, really nice. It really is that kind of really nice deep yellow. It's not kind of like a faded yellow, it's really nice and rich. Yeah, I really do like it. It's a really nice colour combination. My son is really into yellow, so he would love this. But unfortunately, it does have to go back to Thermaltake after we finished having a look at it. So unfortunately, he's going to have to dig deep in his own pockets when these are finally available here in the UK. So let's start with the teardown. Now, to take it apart, it's very simple. It's basically a toolless design. So undo the thumb screw on the back, and it's captive, so it doesn't fall out. And there's a little latch on the back there. So you just pull that towards you, and the glass comes out. It is actually held in at the bottom as well. So there's a little ledge there which holds the glass in place. And also a little attention to detail, the fact that they've actually made the glass surround yellow as well, rather than the traditional black. So yeah, I like the fact they've done that. Just makes it all a little bit more cohesive. Now that isn't the only tempered glass panel, as you've probably already recognized. There is one on the front as well. So this is giving you the kind of fish tank look, which a lot of people are after these days. This can come out as well. A few more screws. It's not really designed to come out, but it can come out. Yeah, if you want to do that, it's entirely up to you. Now, before we take a look at all of the rest of the case, I actually wanted to highlight something which I don't normally do this because this is a really kind of basic thing, but Thermaltake have actually gone ahead and actually given you a nice little case for your accessories box. So let's take a quick look at the accessories box. So this, I think, is yeah, the way things should be done. So there's a GPU bracket in here, which you can assemble yourself. So that will support your graphics card. It slots up and down. You're probably seeing some B-roll when I was messing around with this a little bit earlier. You get a BIOS speaker. There's also some Thermaltake zip wrap or Velcro tape. Also, you've got some cable ties. You've got all your screws neatly organized as well. So yeah, I think they've done a really good job in this really nice kind of translucent little case. Yeah, very handy indeed. Normally you just get like a baggie, but actually to have something like this is quite handy. And also, I'm pretty sure this almost exactly fits the receptacle at the bottom of the case underneath the power supply. So if you want to leave this in there with the rest of your stuff and just leave it safe, so if you ever need to do any maintenance, you've got it to hand, I think that is absolutely brilliant. So let's take a look at the inside and see what it gives us. Now, it gives us a ton of space, which is again something which I asked for in the original 380, just a little bit more height and a little bit more on the bottom, because when you've got fans in the bottom, you've got fans or radiators in the top, it starts to get a little bit compressed. You find it hard to get to things such as your EPS connectors or fan connectors that may be at the top of the motherboard. With this, because we've now got the extra height, and in fact, I'll put the dimensions of the case on the screen for you right now so you can see exactly what they are in both inches and millimeters. It does have a very nice kind of height to it, and also it's not overly wide, which you do find with some dual chamber cases. They tend to be a little bit too wide, which takes up a lot of space on your desk. I think they've designed this absolutely really well, and actually it isn't as big as you would think it is, even though it says XL. It is still a relatively compact chassis, but just with lots of space inside. Really well managed. So we'll start from the bottom section. So in this bottom section, there's actually a sunken cutout. So if you wanted to put some fans in the bottom, you can do, or potentially some sort of radiator combination. Ideally with rads, especially AIAs, you don't really want them at the bottom because of air bubbles, etc. But you can quite easily put 3 120mm fans in that bottom section. And that means that the fans are going to be kind of flush with this bottom section. So it's not going to impede any of your access to connections on the bottom of your motherboard. I like that a lot. Also, it's fully ventilated on the bottom there, very nice and open. And all we've got is a very fine, thin nylon mesh to filter out any dust. Moving to the side section, so on the side we've got this angled section. So in this part here, you can put, if you want to, a 360mm radiator. It does come pre-installed with 3 ARGB fans. These are Thermaltake's kind of light version ARGB fans, and yeah, they do a pretty decent job. They are reversed airflow on this side. So you've got 3 120s, you can take those out if you want to and put other fans in. Choice is entirely up to you, but they are reverse airflow, so that's going to pull nice fresh cool air in from this side through the ventilation and bring it in towards the path of your graphics card and then swirl around to the rest of your PC. Just across from the fans, you've got these deflection sections here, which not only deflect airflow, they also hide some of your cables as well, so for passing them through to your motherboard section. The motherboard section itself is fully compatible with the latest and greatest of the kind of rear connect motherboards, various names for them across the brands. You've got Project Zero, you've got BTF, etc. But basically motherboards which have rear connections, whether they be micro ATX or full-size ATX, you've got all the cutouts there to pass through all of your plugs. Excellent stuff. Also, a very good improvement as well over the 380 is the PCI Express brackets on the back there. They are all fully removable, and also there are 8 bays, which normally you tend to get 7, so they've added an extra bay on the bottom. I don't know why, but it's nice to have that little bit of extra room should you need it. Also above that, you've got another fan included, so 4 in total. This is a traditional exhaust fan, and again is addressable RGB. You're probably seeing B-roll of this actually in action. The lighting is very nice, the blades are very good. The spin speed on these up to around about 1600 RPM, and they're pretty low noise, so that is a pretty good start straight out of the box. Also at the top, if you're deciding to go with some kind of reasonably minimalist system and you're not planning on putting fans or radiators in the top, you do have rubber blanking plates at the top there, so to hide up any kind of holes, which is always good to see. Or potentially if you are going to put a radiator in the top or RGB fans, you can pass through your cables very easily. When it comes to the top section, you've got a little bit more flexibility on the top, so you can have up to a 360mm AIO. You can also have a 280. When it comes to fans, you've got the option of 3 120s or 2 140s, or obviously less if you wanted to. Another little convenience factor, which I always like, is the fact that all of the standoffs for your motherboard for ATX layout are pre-installed. And also the one in the middle has a little locating lug in there. So if you're maybe lacking dexterity or it's your first build and you're maybe a little bit unsure if it's all lined up, that means when it's locked in there, your motherboard's in absolutely perfectly. So now let's move around to the rear. So as you can see, we've got this actually really unusual kind of design here. So you've actually got squares cut out, which actually is pretty good for airflow. So squares aren't as good as hexagonal, but very close to it and better than circles. There's less metal in the way, blocking your air. And also because this is going to be, primarily is going to be a positively charged case in terms of air pressure, having all of these open sections is going to let all the heat just kind of naturally filter out, which is always good. Like I said, you've got the removable blanking plates there. All of those are on thumb screws as well, which is awesome. You've also got some more ventilation down here. Slot here for your ATX power supply. ATX power supply is up to 180 millimeters in length, so that covers pretty much most on the market these days. A lot of them nowadays are kind of 140, 150, maybe 160 at a push, but you can go up to 180 depth if you wish to. That's excluding cables. Also, something else I failed to mention earlier, when it comes to heights in here and also widths, for your CPU cooler, if you want to go for an air cooler, up to 160 mil, and with graphics cards up to 420 mil in length, because yeah, you've got this massive area here. So yeah, you can have no issues at all with basically any graphics card on the market. Now we'll take a look at the back of the case, and I'm not too sure how the autofocus is going to do. I've never filmed a yellow case before. At least I don't think I have. This is a first for me. It was going a little bit weird earlier when I was trying to do some B-roll, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's locked onto me and not the case. Anyway, I digress. So, taking this apart, very simple to do. Thumb screw on the back, just a single thumb screw, and the same as the front, so a little latch there, just push that forward. And this section unclips and you can lift that out. Pretty decent metal there, and also you've got the porosity there to let all of your heat escape. Now at this point you can see where everything goes in here. So your power supply is going to be here. You've got all this room underneath for cable management, etc. And also you've got this section here, which is kind of optional really. This is for mounting hard disk drives or 2.5-inch drives, SSDs, that kind of stuff. So you can put in here up to 3 2.5-inch drives or a single 3.5-inch drive. Ultimately, because you've got lots of holes in there, you can kind of tweak it a little bit to suit whatever, but based on where the power supply is going to be here, that is going to impede some of this area here. And actually, to get this open, this is one bit you do actually need tools for. Although once you've undone the screws once, you can, if you want to, leave them out. The choice is going to be down to you. So if you're someone who is kind of in and out all the time, swapping out hard drives, disk drives, then you might want to leave those screws out anyway. It does still stay in place. This is actually hinged as well, which is really nice to see. So there's little rubber dampeners on the top and bottom, so that keeps it all nicely enclosed. And you can see on there, this is again excellent for mounting drives. So 2.5 at the top, 2.5 underneath, on an angle. They've actually angled it as well, so 2.5 is going to go that way, and then at the bottom, kind of either there, or maybe your 3.5. Depending on your configuration. Also, when we take a look in this section, you can see there is also some cable management areas. So we've got cable management bars, and also you've got Velcro straps there. So if you're trying to do some cable management, keep things tidy, you've got those pre-installed, which is excellent. And also you've got all the wiring for the fans. The fans themselves aren't any of the kind of interlocking ones like we quite often see from Thermaltake, but obviously that is going to add expense. Not everybody wants to use them, so they've gone with a relatively inexpensive fan in there, but you get 4 of them and they're all daisy chainable and pass through. For the actual connection to the motherboard, unfortunately, like the View 380, these are also DC fans, so you can still control the fan range. That's not a problem, so somewhere between 500 and 1600 RPM, but you do have to switch your motherboard header to DC control, which is a little bit of a shame if I'm completely honest, but ultimately if it keeps the price down, then I'm relatively happy for that to stay. You can, of course, like I said, just take them out, swap them out for whatever you want to. That choice isn't down to you. There is a kind of daisy chain block for daisy chaining all the cables together. So yeah, I think it's pretty much all the bases are covered there. No problems at all, and that bit just kind of pushes into place. Again, I haven't put the screws in and it's still held in nice and firmly. And also while we're in the back here, let's take a look at the I/O connectivity. So you've got your USB 3.0, so that's your Type A's, 2 cables coming off there, so that means 2 ports on the front, as we've already seen. You've also got your USB Type C, so that's USB 3.2 Gen 2. Nice to have that. You've also got your front panel connection, which is a block connector, so you can plug that straight in. Excellent stuff. Again, that's probably more useful for some of the rear connect motherboards these days, but certainly it has its advantages either way. And also you've got your HD audio. It's also nice to see these have all been nicely blacked out as well, all the way across, which is somewhat a rarity these days. Sometimes you see a little bit of ketchup and mustard going on the AC connector or the HD audio. So yeah, nice to see that, nicely blacked out. Shame it is possibly going to be in the back for some people, but if it's in the front, then it's going to look very, very stealthy. Now to take apart this section here, where the fans are, this is where it does get a little bit more confusing, or a little bit more complex. So if we switch back round to the back, so you've got 4 lots of thumb screws on the top there. If we undo these 2 here, they are all captive as well, which is excellent. And also they've got rubber grommets, which is always a nice thing to see. And then you just slide this one backwards, so that unlocks. And this is actually plastic, believe it or not, which, considering how difficult it is to do colour matching these days, I'm surprised they've gone for plastic, but the colour match is absolutely excellent. I'm not sure if it's coming across on camera, but the whole thing, yeah, the colour matching is really, really good. So with that part out of the way, we can then go round to this kind of curved section here. So behind here is where the fans are going to be pulling in the cool air. So you've got a lot of surface area there and pretty decent porosity as well. So this is going to act as a filter, but it's also going to be tight enough mesh so you don't get too much dust in. So I think that's a good option. Putting a mesh filter in there behind it would be really destructive to airflow, so I'm glad they haven't. To get this section off, there's also another 2 screws in the top, so let's quickly undo those. And with our final 2 screws removed, we can just push this up and that unlocks, and you can see this is a nice chunk of metal there. Put that to one side for now. And then you can get access to your fans. So if you wanted to change them out or to do maintenance, etc., you can do. So screws are in there holding the 3 120mm fans in place. I think it's actually quite a nice solution to do it. I think it really is. It's does what it needs to do. It's on a nice angle as well, so it's not kind of directly going 90 degrees and then bouncing the air around, which loses the air pressure. Having it kind of more focused towards that section is going to be beneficial. And also as well, if you wanted to, with this section out of the way, this metal bracket for the hard disk drives, if you don't want that in there and you think it's just getting in your way, you're never going to use it, you can actually just undo the screws there for the 2 swivel hinges, and you can remove that out of the way altogether. So if you want easier access inside, if you're someone who's tinkering a lot, doing cable management, or maybe you just got some crazy AIO loop, or maybe a custom loop and you've got, I don't know, tubes going through the back somehow, yeah, you can remove that if you wanted to. So it's nice that those options are there. And then finally, again, that takes us round to the front section. So other than that, that's kind of pretty much it. And it's actually really structurally sound. Very, very good quality metals used on here. It doesn't seem to have any flex or any real movement at all. And also the feet on the bottom, they've raised the feet up a little bit more, which I like to see. So to allow a little bit of airflow to get into the bottom is a little bit easier. And actually, let's take a look at the bottom section now. So on the bottom, you've even got color-coded feet, which is yeah, quite a nice thing. And also you've got your removable mesh filter. So this just pulls out from kind of what is the front but side, depending on how you've got it angled on your desk. So basically you've got your IO at this front section and you just pull this out and that slides out. Again, you've got that really nice fine mesh filtration, which is excellent. And then you've got basically no restrictions whatsoever here. So no metal getting in the way of your fans, so the fans can do their kind of their full duty cycles and not be impeded anyway. Again, excellent stuff. I like that a lot. Sometimes you get these kind of filters and then you get a load of mesh on the frame as well, which really does harm airflow. So you can have your fan set nice and low RPM and still get the benefit of decent air cooling. This bit comes in and fits in nicely. There's a little cutout actually in the foot, which kind of slots across and yeah, just slots in nicely and then locks into position. I think it's done very well. Now next we can take a look at the top. Now obviously normally this panel would be in here, so making it look uniform. Again, to remove this top section, you've got 2 thumb screws here. So just loosen those off, pull it backwards, and this is a metal panel and doesn't want to come out. I think it's because of the angle I'm on. There we go. So it's held in those 6 areas there. So again, nice bit of metal, nice bit of airflow as well. And then with that out of the way, you can see they've kind of followed the design up as well. So there is a little bit of extra structural rigidity, these 2 bars there. But other than that, it's pretty much fully open. So again, like I said, you can put in 3 120mm fans, 2 140mm fans, a 280mm radiator, a 360mm radiator, or kind of combinations thereof, depending what you see fit in doing. Yeah, I think overall that's a very nice case, which has been executed, I think, actually particularly well. I really do like this case in general. I like the fact that they're giving you these colour options. Now, I know there's going to be some people who are watching this and they're just, oh, I just want a white case, or I just want a black case. But the fact that you've got the option at the moment for the sandstone, and also you've got the Bumblebee yellow, and potentially, I guess there's going to be other colours as well. What they're going to be, I honestly don't know. Again, depending on when you're watching this video, if you click on the links, there may be other options available. I really do like it. I think it's, yeah, it's fun. And also, it's structurally very, very sound. And you've got everything in here, which basically kind of goes towards showing you what you can do with a PC very easily with a somewhat limited budget. It's not outrageously expensive for what you get here and the flexibility. If it comes out at around about the sort of 130 mark, I think it's going to be a very, very popular case indeed. If potentially it's a little bit more expensive, again, with things going on in the world at the moment, with tariffs and shipping costs, and they've all gone a little bit mad, then potentially it might be a little bit more expensive. But overall, I think Thermaltake have done an absolutely cracking job here. I'm really looking forward to actually trying to get one of these for myself, possibly in black, do a nice stealthy build with a load of RGB. I know, we'll see what happens. If you've got any comments or questions on this, feel free to let me know in that comments section below. And also don't forget to check out the links and check out local pricing to where you are. Yep, I think that's going to pretty much wrap this one up. Excellent case. Hope you've liked it, and hope you've liked this video. If you have, smash the like button. If you want to see content like this on a daily basis, maybe consider hitting subscribe and the chime notification. That way you'll be notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.